Welcome back to Rise Above the Ranks. This podcast is in conjunction with our free newsletter, readtheblueprint.com, to stay up to date on the most important stories in real estate. Each week, we go over one topic that we think can help elevate your game. On today's episode, we're going to talk about what to do when you make a mistake as an agent. And it's so funny because I remember when I started in the industry, I'd make a mistake or someone would ask me a question I didn't know the answer to. I'd quickly make up the answer on the spot, and then I'd go home and shit my pants the rest of the day that I was going to get caught or it would come back and bite me in the ass. And it's like, as an agent, when you make a mistake, you just have to stop, breathe, and know it's going to be okay.
Well, everyone's going to make mistakes.
Correct.
It's okay. It's okay to make a mistake.
It is, but how do you prevent making the mistakes in the first place?
I don't know if you really prevent making the mistakes. I think it's just all part of the process.
Yep.
You make the mistakes, you learn. Okay, I tell you how to prevent it. You make them.
Yep.
That's how you prevent it.
I agree.
Because you probably won't make it again.
Yep.
The same mistake anyway. You
Agreed.
just make a different one.
Very true.
And the longer you go for, the more mistakes you've made, so the less mistakes you're probably going to make in the future because there's less mistakes to make. And this is not so much of a mistake, but just say that story when you, I don't want to ruin it by saying what happened when you were in Dutch and it involved blood.
Oh, but that wasn't a mistake. I walked into a lamppost and I literally sliced my head open, and I didn't tell the buyer that I was with that it happened, and we got to the top of the hill and I was in agony, and they just looked at me. They go, "Are you okay?" I go, "Why?" They said, "Because your entire head is bleeding." That was a big mistake, but that's just look when you're walking so that you don't walk into lampposts. But I think the number one most important thing is if somebody asks you a question at a showing, in a listing meeting, in a negotiation, in any facet of this business, and you don't know the answer to that question.
Just say you don't know the answer, you'll get back to them.
Well, it sounds so simple.
You share this a lot, actually. Yeah, it does, but it also is, because rather than just make something up, they're probably going to catch you out, and then you look like a buffoon for the rest of the short-lived relationship with that person, right? I don't know, I'll get back to you.
Exactly.
What are they going to say? Okay.
In fact, they actually respect you. You know what? It's something as simple as, is the swimming pool chlorine or is it salt water?
Yeah.
I used to just go salt water and then think, oh God, I hope that's not going to kill the deal. But you know what? I actually don't know. Let me chat to the client. I'll come back to you. There's something to be said where you're actually building trust by, I don't know, let me check. I want to make sure I'm right. I'll come back to you.
Totally.
Such a key in this business, especially in our world, which is so litigious. You could say one wrong thing. Mm-hmm. And it could literally not just cost you the deal, but it could actually cost you a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Okay, owning your mistakes and learning from them, like you just mentioned.
You have to make the mistakes to learn from the mistakes.
Correct.
That's it.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't go out of your way to make mistakes, because that's just pointless. But we're all going to make mistakes.
Totally couldn't agree with you more. Let's use an example. Mm-hmm. A final walkthrough with a buyer. And the buyer turns around to you and says, "Don't worry, I don't need to do the final walkthrough. It's fine." The mistake would be going, "Okay, no problem."
As their advisor, it's your job to at least tell them the ramifications.
Correct.
It's a legally binding document.
Right.
They should do it, whether they want to or not, because they may spot something they hadn't noticed before, and it can be rectified. But if they waive that final walkthrough and it comes up later, they don't really have a leg to stand on.
Correct. So I think
push them. May not have a leg to stand on.
Push them to do the final walkthrough.
Yeah.
And everything in this business, and this has been taught to David and I by Michelle, who is our rock, everything has to be put in writing.
Totally.
Because if it was a conversation, it never really happened in our world. It has to be memorialized in writing, a text message, an email. I don't 100%. Care what it is.
It can even be something as simple like the other day, for example. A property has a tenant in the property, right? And the pool looked terrible, like it was full of mildew. So I called the pool guy. I said, "Have you been coming?" He goes, "Yes." But what's happened is that the tenant has been keeping the pool at like 90 degrees constantly. Right. And what happens is, I know it's ridiculous, but the water evaporates, the water line goes down below the filter line, and basically the pool stops cleaning itself, right? So he said, "I've told the tenant to, if they're going to keep it at 90 degrees, keep a hose in the pool to bring it back up to the waterline.
Right.
So what did I say to my co-list? I said, put that in writing. Because when they come back and want to sue the landlord or claim damages because the pool isn't being cleaned, well, actually, we told you, you've been keeping it 90 degrees, you haven't been filling up the pool, therefore the water level's gone down and the pool's got dirty.
Yep.
Just something simple as that.
Yep.
But my first point is, put it in writing.
Yep.
Exactly what you just said.
It's the truth. And if you don't put it in writing in this business, expect it to come back and bite you in the arse. The next thing, moving on from disappointment, I always think of our businesses.
Oh, we're good at that.
We're like an actor. You know, an actor goes on 500 auditions and they hear no 499 times. And they got to get back and go to the next audition, before they get the yes. And it's kind of similar in our business. I mean, I hope we're not batting 1 for 500 when we go on a listing meeting.
We probably were at one point.
I'm sure we were, but it's like, who cares if your friend gives a listing to another agent? You move on to the next.
Correct.
You can't get butthurt in this business because once you get into that negative mindset mentality, it starts to go downhill from there.
But I've always noticed just historically, when the more difficult it becomes,
Yes.
the more things that go wrong concurrently, if you just don't give up, it also makes you work that much harder because you're going to make more phone calls because you've got to build up your pipeline, whether it's from scratch or wherever it's at. You just don't give up. You will make up for that and more.
Yep.
As long as you keep your eye on the prize and you don't give up and you keep going.
Yep, and we talk about this a lot. Every time David and I hear the word no,
Yeah.
instead of it beating us up, we look at it as we're closer to a yes. Remember that. Every time you hear the word no, you're closer to a yes. And actually, I think in some of our biggest defeats in business, instead of going home, and I do drown my sorrows here and there, and I'll moan to my wife and sometimes my 10 and 13-year-old, but who cares? They're not listening. But instead of being depressed and staying at home and being pissed off, I can assure you, within a 24-hour time period, I'm coming back stronger, more fierce, more competitive, more eager, more keen, more determined to go out and absolutely kill it.
And it will make up. It will.
And
you
some.
will make up for that and more. Exactly. Every single time. If you don't give up and you keep going.
Yeah, and I think that's all down to mindset, mentality, and how bad you really want it in this business or any business for that matter. It's how you deal with the defeat. Okay, another important one.
What do they say though? Success is failure turned inside out.
I love that.
And it's true.
Sorry, we're going to break down the episode for one moment because every real estate agent out there deserves to work with the best. And when it comes to real estate CRMs, the best of the best is Boomtown. Bottom line, nobody else compares. They have very flexible packages that fit your unique business and all of the tools and tech for next level growth. Boomtown is built for winners. To claim $750 in free digital marketing credit, visit boomtownroi.com/blueprint and use the promo code Blueprint. That's boomtownroi.com/blueprint. Talk about that.
Well, everyone thinks, they'll look at us, for example. They'll say, these guys have got $3.5 billion of inventory. They sell nearly $1 billion a year. How do they do that? If you actually, it looks great on the surface, right? On social media, these glitzy photos, these amazing properties, sold, escrowed, you know what I mean? Just listed. But the shit that we have to go through for each and every one of those listings, escrows, and sold deals is crazy. Things go wrong.
Yeah.
We lose it. I mean, it comes back. Anything and everything you can imagine goes wrong for each of those deals. Sometimes it's smooth, it's very rare, but sometimes it is. My point is, on the surface, it looks great, but if you really looked at the reality of that situation, they say it's like a line going from like upwards. It's not. It's like a fucking mess going in zigzags. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
But as long as you don't give up and you keep your eye on the prize, we say it all the time, you will get there. So everything you see on our social media looks glitzy and easy, but it's not. I can assure you. We've busted our asses for it. And I don't say that in an egotistical way. I just say it in a matter of fact way.
100%. And when we look at other super successful people in the world, people that have sold their business, they only set it up 3 years ago, 5 years ago, the tech industry, the crypto industry, all these mad businesses. You look at even Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, you think, oh my God, wow, it must be so amazing.
They're so lucky.
Correct.
Yeah.
But believe me, they have worked their ass to get to where they are. They've lost everything 5 times over before they got to where they are. And it's the same zigzag, but it's how you deal with it. It's how you come out. It's what you learn from your mistakes. And it's how you rise above it to get to the next step and phase in your life.
100%.
Lastly, set concrete goals and hold yourself accountable. This is something that, well, we don't set ourselves these concrete goals, but we know that we have to beat targets. We have to beat whatever we did last year or the year before, but holding yourself accountable. Let's talk about that and how that betters you.
Well, I think, you get a certain point to set your goals. It may be, like you said, I want to sell 10 million this year. I want to sell 50 million, 100 million, a billion, whatever it is, it's a number. Set yourself realistic goals, right? Because we don't want to set ourselves a target of selling $1 billion the first day we start in real estate in that year. It's not going to happen. So, we have people on our team, they set themselves realistic goals. We now set ourselves realistic goals. Those goals grow over time because you get more experience and you stick to it. But you don't just say, okay, I want to sell, 10 million this year. So, you're just going for it straight away. You have to map it out. There's 12 months in a year.
Yep.
Divide that 100 million by 12. I think it's about 8, isn't it? Or something like that.
You're asking me? Are you mad?
Whatever the fuck it is. I think it's 96. It's near enough, right? Just say it's 8 million a month. Just say that, for example. Let me just check now because that's embarrassing. I've got a complete blank. I'm normally good at maths. Hold on. 8 times 12. Can we black this out, by the way? 96. Yeah, 96. Okay, say you want to sell $100 million this year. It's around 8 million a month, right? So your target is to hit 8 million a month. Break it down. That's probably like, I don't know, 4 million every 2 weeks, 2 million a week. So when you break it down that way and you stick to those goals, you may have a bad week or you may have a bad couple of weeks, but you can make up for it. Just what I'm trying to say is break it down.
Yep.
Break it down into digestible sizes because 100 million sounds like a lot. 2 million every 2 weeks, it's not too bad.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. We're not buying it, we're selling it.
I think as agents, goals don't even have to necessarily be how much you sell. It could be how many phone calls you make a day, how many appointments you set, how many negotiations you're in, how many doors you're going to knock, how many videos you're going to produce, how many mailers you're going to send out. I think as you're getting started in this industry, you have to set yourself markers. 1 quarter, 2 quarters, whether it's every month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, you have to set yourself at the beginning of each year a bunch of different targets and goals, and you do have to hold yourself accountable because in this industry, as real estate agents, as 1099 employees, as independent contractors, you are your own boss. I am my own boss. And if your biggest competition isn't yourself, well, then you're probably in the wrong industry. So we've always said to ourselves, we're going to set goals, we're going to hold ourselves accountable, and we're going to beat through them. And if, for example, we set one goal and 6 months into our 12-month year, we see that we're getting there, then you start to move the goalposts. You enlarge them and you change the goalposts as they're getting to where you want to be. The bottom line is you always have to continue improving and thriving to become better and improve. And again, just become better and better year over year. However you get to that, however you want to do it, set yourself goals and hold yourself accountable.
Totally.
Would you agree?
100%.
All right, let's wrap up the episode, summarize it. What are your main takeaways?
Every single agent is going to make mistakes.
Yep.
Don't be afraid. Make sure you learn from them, okay? And if you don't know an answer to a question that a client asks you, say, I don't know, I'll find out, and I'll get back to you. Never lie. Don't make things up.
Love it. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Listen, use it, and go out and crush it. That brings us to the end of another incredible episode of Rise Above the Ranks, the sister publication to Read, theblueprint.com. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. Click subscribe, and we will see you soon with fresh content. Thank you for listening.